Everybody kind of thought the Russian incursion was just like some myth, but I mean, we started planning for the Russian incursion in 2014.
Soledar, apparently the fighting was so crazy there's like 100 people dying per day. That's crazy to think about. It's hard to wrap your head around. How many times did you deploy over your whole career? Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, of course. I would say...
You got that many fingers?
No.
No?
$20,000, and it was tax-free because they were like, you'll definitely be in Iraq by the time you get this bonus. So, I mean, I don't know how many times I'd see the captain on like a VTC. All he'd be wearing was just the top, and then he'd be wearing Ranger panties and everything. You'd see his hat and his dip can and everything on the side, just looking very professional.
Dean.
What's up, Kagan?
I'm going to give you a shit, man. Logan.
Brother.
It's good to finally meet you in
person,
you too, man. Obviously... We've only talked on the phone up until now. This is the first time I've been able to actually like meet you in person, which is nice. I like being able to put a face to a name. Yeah. And
I like seeing a good Marine Corps haircut.
Oh yeah. Too, you're like I kind of like that. It's like a little piece of home almost. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though my haircut's kind of because I got it on Thursday because my barber was going out of town on vacation, so I was like, well, that's the latest I could get one before I came out here. I get a haircut even if I'm out of town for the week. I don't care. I still get one every week. It's just kind of ingrained in my brain. You know, I try not to go too high anymore. I prefer to like have a nice low. I wish I could blend in, a little bit, but it's kind of hard to, just because it's recognizable.
You want to accentuate the salt and pepper.
Yeah.
You don't want to try and make it look like you're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
You got to like add to that. Like, hey, just look.
Yeah.
I'm a little salty.
Well, I'm just old. Really, if we're being honest, I'm not salty. I'm just old at this point. I've never experienced combat. Let's just put that out there just right ahead of time. But yeah, I'm just old, man. But I joined when I was 27 years old. So I was an older guy. I was like, they gave me the nickname. Was it grand old man in the Marine Corps is what they were calling me for a while. Like they were always joking around, like Archibald Henderson. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's just kind of how that worked out. But it ended up being good though, because I kind of was like, I wasn't like dad or a mentor to all of them. I would say like some of them I was kind of like maybe big brother or something like that. I used to pick people because I didn't drink. I was like one of the few guys that didn't drink, so I would DD and pick dudes up from Waikiki and bring them back to the base so that they weren't like stranded and stuff like that. I'd get calls at 2:00 in the morning from the barracks, and I'd go pick people up, just because they're my homies. And take care of your people, It
just shows you how much life, puts it into perspective when being 27, you're the old guy.
Yeah.
And I think of a 27-year-old, and I'm like, it's a damn kid.
You know nothing.
Bro. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
There are 14-year-old kids out there that will call you Unc on the internet while you're playing video games if you're 22. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't even want to tell them how old I am if I'm playing video games on the internet because it's like, man, they're definitely going to call me Unc for sure, but,
I don't even know what'd you say?
Unc.
I don't
short for uncle.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big.
I didn't know if it was some.
Thing.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was some new slang.
It's for sure. It's like Gen Z, Gen Alpha do it. I mean, I'm a millennial. I don't use that kind of language really. It's not really my thing. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't appeal to me. I'm kind of more of a dude, bro, old school kind of guy in that sense. But a lot of the younger cats, Gen Z, Gen Alpha guys, they call anybody that's older than them Unc. I think it's just kind of what they do. But anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here. I know you're probably getting slayed. You're definitely getting slayed. I mean, you guys got a million things going on. You're running the booth. You're doing a bunch of like face-to-face stuff with people, forward-facing events going on because we're at SHOT Show 2026 here in Vegas. And so, I mean, I know you have a lot of things you had to probably rearrange to find a way to make this work.
No way, man.
Well,
I've been looking for this. Was like the one thing.
Okay, well, that makes me feel special. I appreciate that, but I am glad you guys were able to peel away from what you had going on to come out here. I think this would be cool. I don't think I've interviewed anybody from Black Rifle before, but obviously, just so you guys see right here, you can probably see in the wide shot. This couple we got. Let's see here. Got the new. This just came out. I just saw this for the first time today. Grape. I'm not a big grape fan. This is pretty damn good, though. I'll say that. And then this new one, I haven't even seen this one yet. The Tiger Strike, not
Tiger
Strike.
Yeah.
Strike. with a K. What's that flavor mean? What's that? What
That's
kind of
like
a flavor?
our bomb pop. Like we want like the
Pop.
red, white, and blue bomb pop. You know.
Okay.
You remember those popsicles when you were a kid?
Oh yeah. Like the little rocket looking
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I'll have to try that one tomorrow. I've had too much damn caffeine today. Honestly, I had like, 500 milligrams earlier. It's probably not good to have more than 700 in one day, and I had about the same yesterday, just trying to stay awake. You know?
No, I'm at like I'm well over 1,000 for the day.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Just cool. Like,
I usually cut it off at like 11:30 noon.
Yeah.
Is that last cup of coffee, and today I'm like sitting in meetings at 3, just hammering.
hammering it. Yeah.
Because if I see it, you know, we're sitting down like, oh, can I have a cup of coffee? I'm like, I don't want to make you drink alone, brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you drink alone, man.
I do the test as long as my hand doesn't shake too
Yeah,
much.
well, that's the thing. It's like I
think
can
I'm
kind of.
okay.
I love the coffee though. That's my jam. That's like I drink it every morning.
What's your go-to?
Well, so far it's been the Marine Corps 250th anniversary blend,
I
just
hooked
because.
up Kagan was a couple of those
Good.
bags.
Yeah, I was able to get. I think I had 3 bags. I'm on my last one right now, so I'm probably gonna have to buy some more. But it's pretty good flavor. I've just been drinking that just because it's like, well, why the hell not? You know what I mean? But I tend to like lighter roasts because they're a little bit more caffeinated. So like don't like waking up the neighbors is one I've been drinking a lot of. That one's like jacks you up, dude. You drink a cup of that, and I'm like fired up before I start work in the morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's got a little caffeine added to it too.
Yeah, I like that one. So I
What's
usually
that, like 300 milligrams, I think, or something in the cup?
That's
I can't remember off the top of my head.
that's not really what you track per cup necessarily,
okay.
you know, because we've got all this. We like to make sure that, you know, the people who come from the generation of like, I want my spoon standing up in this, you know, like you got to facilitate that, and you know, you got
basically boomers.
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
You just call it like it is.
You call it like it is.
So that's waking the neighbors, and then the calf roast if you're buying it online.
Okay.
Those are the two that you're looking for there.
The calf roast.
The light roast thing is actually a myth. That's not true. That doesn't have more caffeine in it.
Really?
Yeah. Because the idea with that saying come about was that the darker the roast, you're roasting out the caffeine.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which is true, but it's such a nominal amount that you're getting rid of through that roasting process that you're not actually able to notice a difference where it's actually measurable, or you're going to notice.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter if you're drinking dark roast or light roast.
No.
It's not going to have that. It's going to be very marginal difference.
Right.
Okay, that's fair enough. I didn't realize that. I just always heard that the lighter the roast, that means it was roasted for less, so there's less or there's more caffeine. I don't know, but I didn't know that. Where'd you learn all this stuff from?
Just working here.
Just working
you know?
here?
You just continually go down the rabbit hole. Like having a relationship with Evan, it's hard not to just absorb all of this information,
Fair
right?
enough.
And then you hear, like, I've had this conversation 24 times
1,000
with people,
times,
you know,
okay,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, look, I'm like, well, sorry, that's not true. You're wrong.
Yeah.
But, and
I'm open to learning new shit, man. I'm not married to my ideas just because I heard it somewhere else. You know.
yeah, but you just, you know, you come a part of this and you're like, it's really easy to get attached to because caffeine coffee, like you don't exist in the military without it, right?
Yeah,
like
practically.
nicotine, caffeine. Like if you're in most professions where you're in the field, it's a part of who you are without doubt, you know? And then, you know, you got the Rip It culture that was originally there.
Yeah.
You know, before that it was the tiger drink in Iraq, and
Yeah.
then
They still have those out there.
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They're in a little bit of Asia too. And
Are
then
they?
and then coming out of that, you know, you got caffeine coffee in the morning, energy in the afternoon, right? Like that's kind of the other flow of things there. And then as time progresses and we start adding all these different SKUs to the brand, you start just picking up little things along the way, and you can't help but just go down the rabbit hole on it because it's like it's what we do. You just
Yeah.
naturally pick up all the information that comes along with it because you want to know.
Sure.
And then when it comes to like, well, why do people like this versus the other thing? You want to know why, and then research, and you just keep developing it over time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and plus you're spending so much damn time in that office learning about that stuff, and people are like, that's everything. That's the whole business.
Yeah.
So like, I guess you can't help but like, even if you're just learning by osmosis, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just absorbing it out of the freaking air. Yeah.
You know, a roasting facility at Manchester, I've been able to go on a couple tours there, and when you see it in action, you know, and then you talk to the roasters and everything. It's just, I mean, I kind of came in a little bit blind to it. You know, I just thought it was, you know, a process of, you know, you pour the beans and they just go down this assembly line. And oh no, it is like a chemistry project in there. Like they're like, for this roast, we roast for 72 seconds at 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we air cool it for 7.8 seconds. And I could not believe like the amount of like precision that went into the roast.
That sounds like Breaking Bad almost.
I know, it was like, but it was amazing to watch these people do it. And I was like, I had no idea that amount of like ingenuity goes behind, you know, making a coffee roast. And so it's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, it's down to a science for sure.
I made all those numbers up, by the way. I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
but bottom line is that to that degree.
But to that degree of precision to make like the
makes
perfect
sense.
roast.
Yeah, there's well, I mean, and everybody always talks about Evan, like being like this obsession that he had with the craft of brewing coffee, and like figuring out different ways of doing it, which I think is a healthy obsession. If you're going to be obsessed over something, it's like, at least it's productive, you know. And coffee's honestly not bad for you. It's probably good for you. Probably better for you than a lot of the alternatives that are out there, you know.
Yeah. It's well, one of the, you know, I'm one of those guys, like, if it comes from the ground, I like it, you know.
Yeah.
And the backstory to it, the relationship we have to it. Like, there's also a certain sense of nostalgia that a lot of us have to it, because we either grew up, it was part of our time in the military. The old Johnny Cash saying, like, with her this morning drinking coffee was the best moment of my life. Like, we want that attachment to it. And if you're going to do something every day, you might as well love it, right?
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, because obviously, like, if you're doing something that you really hate every day, that'd be pretty miserable, pretty miserable experience, you know. So it's like if you, I was talking about this with the guys that were in here just a minute ago, but it's like if somebody was like, you have to interview this person, but you didn't really want to interview them, you don't have an interest in talking to that person, it would be excruciating. Like if someone's like, you're going to interview this tambourine player. I don't really care about tambourines. Like, I don't know. I don't really have anything to identify with. Like, maybe he's got some interesting stories. I could probably find a way to make it work. You know what I'm saying? Because I like talking to people anyway. I don't really care what they do for a living or what their experiences are. I'm sure I can find something to identify with just about anybody. But, you know. Or a better example would be if like one of those people that sells programs, you know what I'm talking about? Like those people that sell like plans and programs online about like how to be successful or how to do it. And there's a million of them and it's like a pyramid scheme almost, you know, like I would never want to interview somebody like doing that. I don't care. I don't have any interest in that. That would be excruciating if I was like forced to do something like that. And podcasting is supposed to be enjoyable. Like, I like talking to people. I like getting to know people's stories because storytelling, and this, I probably sound like a broken record. I say it over and over again, but storytelling is a huge part of being human. You know, it's a big part of military culture too. You know, but definitely a big part of being human. And we've been telling stories since we discovered fire. You know, since we first could sit around a fire and like talk about stuff, and once we could start speaking to each other and we could write on like cave walls and shit. Yeah. And this is probably, you know, long form storytelling is probably one of the most entertaining things we've got, like short of like watching films. But at the end of the day, films are telling stories, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
I think a lot of folks, especially in the military, just like, you know, you tell stories about your experiences and your perspectives and things that you've seen and things that you've done or things that your buddies have done that they told you stories about and you pass their stories down. It's like that's a pretty big part of the culture too, you know. You sit around drinking cup of coffee around a fire. I mean, that just sounds so nice. Just sitting around a campfire with a good cup of coffee with your boys or your friends or your families or whatever. And just sipping on coffee, people telling stories, just like sitting out there like under the stars, nice hot warm fire, keeping everybody warm. It's kind of chilly out. Maybe you got a jacket on. You know what I mean?
The old Ranger TV.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like maybe throw a couple of Zins in later or something, you know, whatever, you know. So it's just like, it's just one of those things. It's like, I think just a really big part of our culture that I have a deep appreciation for. And I think a lot of people do too, which is why podcasting is even a thing, I guess.
And if you're lucky, you have the one or two personalities. There's always somebody that is always very entertaining.
Yeah.
Just everybody always just has that guy, that would crack the stories and tell the jokes and kind of entertain people.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they're sitting around.
The wise guy.
Yeah, the wise guy. There's always one of them.
Yeah.
That was never me. I don't ever felt like I was ever really funny. I
don't
tried to be funny.
Yeah.
But I'm very sarcastic. The problem is nobody ever picks up on my sarcasm.
Yeah.
So it kind of falls really bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think if I'm funny, it's by accident. Because I don't know how to be funny really, but I just like say dumb shit and it just ends up being funny because it's stupid or maybe it's relatable. I don't know. But I just the one thing I do know is that I do enjoy talking to people. I like getting to know people's stories, like I was telling you before we started. Because we have a lot of, especially how small the community can be sometimes. Like everybody knows somebody, everybody's kind of bumped into somebody. So which is one of the reasons it pays to be a good dude. Just pays to be a good dude because everybody knows somebody. If you burn the wrong bridge, you might burn another bridge you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But there's a few things I wanted to bring up. I wanted to talk to you guys about. Number one, I want to talk a little bit about your backgrounds, just to give people a little bit of context on like who you are, kind of what you did before you got to Black Rifle. And I know there's certain things you can't talk about. We talked about that offline and stuff like that. But I think that kind of helps paint a better picture for like who this human being is that's sitting here, because it's like, this person's perspective and experiences are going to be different from anyone else they probably met. So Dean, I want to start with you just to kind of get it rolling here. What state are you from originally?
Originally from Indiana.
Indiana, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I probably forgot some of this. You probably already told me. And I apologize if I did.
Yeah, I grew up in a really small town that nobody would ever heard of, but about 45 minutes southeast of Chicago.
Okay.
In Indiana. Yeah.
Southeast of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you spend any time in Chicago when you were a kid?
Yeah, so every once in a while. My dad was an industrial painter for a while for the union in Chicago, and so he would travel there constantly for work, and so I'd travel with him sometimes if he had smaller jobs and stuff and help him.
Yeah. That's crazy. So what did you do when you were a kid? Did you play sports or anything?
Yeah, I was a big sports kid. Believe it, Indiana, so I was a basketball kid. Not that I had a choice, but I remember just going to play to the park. You could do 30 layups on the way to the park because there'd be a basketball hoop on every single corner of every single house. So that was always cool. And people were there probably really similar to football and Texas and stuff. If I had a bad game or something, I'd be at the grocery store with my mom and some guy would walk up and be like, "Why'd you have 4 turnovers?" I didn't know who this dude is. They would know your stats. They would be like, "Hey, you don't pass the ball enough." I'm like a kid, and so it was a really big deal. And my basketball team, we were absolutely horrible because in Indiana, we did one trip where we went to Ohio and smashed this team 76 to 14, and then we go back to Indiana and then we get smashed everywhere because the teams were just so competitive. Ohio was known for their wrestling, so if we wrestled Ohio, we got destroyed. But then the tables would turn when we'd had the basketball games. Big sports guy, and then baseball, of course. Baseball was my best sport.
Your jam?
I was pretty decent at baseball.
So you're a good sprinter.
Yeah, I was a pitcher.
Pitcher.
I pitched and
better being a catcher.
What's that?
I'm just kidding. Making a joke, dirty joke. Sorry.
I was a decent pitcher. I thought I could throw the heat until I tried to play at the collegiate level, and then when guys are throwing 95 consistently for 6 innings, I was like, I can throw it 90 maybe a couple times and throw my arm out if you'd like.
That's what I'm saying. My rotator cuff hurts. Just
I got humbled real fast when you try to get to that next level on just the sheer amount of athleticism you needed to compete. And it just wasn't for Dean.
Yeah. Well, what was for Dean was the Army.
Yeah.
What year was that?
I came in 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
Did you graduate high school in 2005?
2004.
Okay, so you're a year older than me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So we were just talking about being old. I didn't want to bring that up.
But you've aged well too, though. I mean, you're in better physical shape than most guys our age. So you're doing fine.
I try to be.
Yeah.
I just say, I recently retired. So what I didn't want to do is just, be that statistic where you retire and kind of let everything go.
Yeah, it's you inflate like a balloon.
Yeah, and I noticed that, how do I say that? The better that I kept my physical fitness, the better my mental fitness was to some degree, and I tell that to people all the time. If you really want to get yourself out of that rut mentally, work on your physical fitness, and it probably won't be the end all be all because it never is, but it is a great start on something. So if you don't know what the hell to do, just start lifting weights. It's kind of like,
just start lifting
what was that,
heavy stuff.
Rick and Morty, was it? The best way to get over a girl is to get under a 300-pound squat. I think it was that it could not be more true.
Start.
You're
gonna have a hard time thinking about how sorry you are for yourself if you're trying to lift 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's why I love those reels where it's some guy that goes up to kiss a girl and she kind of turns away, and then it flips to this guy like, "Hey, welcome to the gym." I love that. I'm like, that's what it is, bro.
Yeah.
So just trying to stay in shape. Keep up with the young guys.
Well, that's always the challenge, right? Is once you get to certain points, I'm just trying to stay where I'm at right now. I don't need to be Superman. I don't need to be Mr. Olympia. I just don't want to get worse.
Yeah. Rule number one is don't get hurt.
Yeah, that's number one.
Man, it just that's the biggest thing that I've noticed is, I humbly, I probably am stronger than I've been in many years.
Yeah.
But my problem is the recovery. I used to be able to drink till midnight, back during my youth when I was a little more wild, and then I'd wake up the next morning, go on the 5-mile run, and then have a great day. If I do that today, I'm out for 3 or 4 days. So people ask me, they're just like, "Oh, you're not drinking?" I was like, "Oh, well, I want to be able to do stuff for the next week." So I'm okay.
I got too much work to do. I don't think I can afford to take 3 days off.
I mean, by all means, I'll have a cocktail with you or something, or a beer with dinner, but I'm really limited to usually just a drink.
That's probably healthy. I think that's part of the reason why a lot of guys our age end up getting guts is because they drink too much anyway. Because as you get older, it gets harder to process and metabolize all that stuff. So it's probably better anyway. It's better for mental health just to work out on a regular basis and use that as your gym meditation. Kind of, So you enlisted in 2005. What did you start out as? 11 Bang Bang?
No, I actually came in as a 13 Fox, which is a forward observer.
A forward observer for call for fire?
Yeah, because first, you guys, I'm sitting between two Marines, but I went into the Marine Corps recruiting office.
Yeah.
They're like, "Son, I'll give you $5,000 to join." And I was like, "Cool, hold that thought." And I went over to the Army side, and they're like, "We'll give you $20,000 to be an artilleryman." I had no idea what any of that meant. But to me, being a kid, $20,000, I mean, you could have said it was $1 million in my brain. So I was like, done deal.
That's the car.
Yeah, exactly. So $20,000, and it was tax-free because they were like, "You'll definitely be in Iraq by the time you get this bonus or sign-on bonus."
Wow.
So I took.
You probably won't be alive to spend this.
Jesus.
They left that part out.
Yeah.
So
they neglected to mention.
They neglected, and I was. 6 months later, I was downrange. So.
As an artilleryman.
Yep.
So your first tour was as an arty guy.
Yeah,
as an FO.
It was an interesting one because I was in the 3rd of the 509th Infantry. So while I was a forward observer, so the best way to describe me is I became a glorified RTO for infantry lieutenant.
Okay.
And so I was that guy who ran around with the
you were the radio operator rolling around.
And so I had the ability to call. I spent the majority of my first deployment, just controlling aircrafts. So that's what I really did. So the ground force commander would be like, "Hey, Dean, we want the Apaches over there, or hold them here, or bring them in." And so I'd do the call for fire. But mostly what I did the majority of the time was just a liaison between other units, call in for support, Yeah, I was just the dude with the radio packs running around and being like, "Sergeant, here's this," because he would be in a shooting or something he wasn't hearing, so I'd be just the guy running back and forth. And
passing the comms off to people.
The company commander wants to speak to you.
People are like, God, they see you running towards him. They're like, God, somebody's probably mad at me right now.
Yeah.
That's
so,
funny.
But I liked it, though, because it was me and the medic were the only two non-infantry guys in the platoon, the entire battalion for that matter, for each platoon. So in every platoon there was an FO and a medic, and so
for every platoon.
Yep.
Oh wow. Interesting.
As I remember, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's a long time ago.
How long were you in artillery for?
Yeah, so I did my first pump to Iraq, which was 16 months. And so after we finished that tour, I got back, and I remember because I was We were in Iraq, and we were responding as a QRF because a bridge got hit by a V-bid and brought it down and killed some of our guys. And so we responded out there, but I was there calling for the CAS, in support, of course. And so this SUV that's all blacked out come rolling up and stuff, and they're just like, "Hey kid, you'll need the smoke," in like a real raspy voice. And I kind of turned over to the other guys, like, "Who are those guys?" And this one other private that had no idea, like I did, was just like, "That's Special Forces." I had no clue what that meant. But at that point in time, I was like, I want to do that. That seems pretty.
Was he wearing like a bandana or something?
No, they were just they kind of looked a little more like a Secret Service stuff. They just had their plate carriers on, and here I am wearing this was when you had to wear everything. You had the dick guard and the shoulder pads, and you looked like a mobile tank running around.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys
wow.
remember that day with the
We didn't have the shoulder pads. We had the nut protector, but
Yeah.
I've seen photos.
We always tried to strip them
I never
off.
thought anybody actually wore all that
No,
shit.
they
though. I
made
thought
us-
that was
They
just-
made
had
you
to
wear
wear-
the shoulder stuff?
Oh, everything.
You're talking about the Interceptor vest, right?
I can't. I probably
I think it's
couldn't
called the
tell you.
Interceptor, I want to say, because that's the one that had the flap and then the shoulder pieces, and I think there was another piece to it or something like that. And then you probably had to have your side sappies in.
Yeah. So they ended up changing it where it was only the gunners that would wear all of it.
Okay.
And so we got away because we were just infantry, but in Iraq, everybody was mobile.
Yeah.
We just weren't in up armored tanks or anything like that. But we spent a lot of time walking and do route clearing and all this boring stuff. And so it was just it's 100+ degrees outside. It's just having all that on would just eat you alive. I mean, the weather would do more damage than the enemy. So
Yeah.
but anyways, that's what kind of inspired me to join Special Forces, was seeing those guys and quite frankly my ignorance to it, because I had no idea. I honestly made it all the way through selection and got selected and got orders to go to the Q course to start Special Forces, and I arrived there still not knowing what Special Forces was. I had no idea.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, I just thought it was simply another tier of training.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a thing where you got assigned to like a different unit. I thought I just went and did this school that was really hardcore, and then I came back to the infantry. So just to show you how big of a dumbass I was, I had no idea of any of that, and so it was a steep learning curve for me.
So you didn't know about all the different MOSs within the Special Forces community?
Yeah, well,
yet.
so that's where, once again, I can't believe they picked me. But so once you pass selection, then you get assigned, like, hey, you're going to become this, 18 Alpha or Bravo Charlie Delta Echo or whatever it is. And like, yeah, but once again, I was like, 18 Echo communications made sense to me because I was already an RTO. So I thought I just got advanced communications training. I didn't understand that at 18 Echo was actually changing my MOS to a different job title. So once again, now granted, I got to give myself some credit. I wasn't a complete fucking idiot, but once I got back and started, I was like, oh, okay, and I started figuring it out. And I talked to a couple of my buddies that I have long-term friends that were way smarter than I am, and asked them, and they kind of explained it to me.
So you end up going to the communications route.
Yeah, 18 Echo.
18 Echo.
Yeah.
I know a lot of that stuff you can't talk about just because of the way the way things are with it. But how long did you do that for? The rest of your career?
No, well, let me see. I was an 18 Echo for like a decade or so, and then I switched over. I went to the dark side, so don't judge me too harshly. But then I became a warrant officer back in 2016.
In 16?
Yeah.
No kidding. Mm-hmm. So that's when you went to Wobic.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so like in Special Forces, if you're senior enough and spent enough time on a team, then you can apply to become a warrant officer. So you become a 180 Alpha, which is the assistant detachment commander to the 18 Alpha, who is the commissioned officer.
Okay,
And so
so you're like the assistant to the lieutenant colonel?
So if you're on the detachment, it's a captain.
A captain, okay.
Yeah, so in SF, everything's a step up. So the ODAs are captains, company commanders are majors, battalion commanders are lieutenant colonels, and
Gotcha.
group commanders are full birds.
That's how it's supposed to be in the weapons company. Like
Right.
they're TO'd for that. Never happens, obviously. You always end up getting a first lieutenant and a captain as your CO, but it's supposed to be like that because it's supposed to be like the senior company in the battalion, the infantry battalion.
Yeah. So you raise the ranks in the officer structure. So as you're a W2, you're with the captain. You make W3, you're with the major. You make W4, you're with the lieutenant colonel.
Gotcha.
And then the CW5 is with the colonel and then above.
And that's with per battalion.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got 6 ODAs per company, 4 companies per battalion.
6 ODAs per company.
Correct.
So that's like 6 platoons, basically.
No, not quite. I mean, they're only 12-man teams.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
quite
An ODA is a 12-man team.
Correct.
And that stands for what again?
Operational Detachment Alpha.
Operational Detachment Alpha. I've heard that so many times, but I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, so I mean it's just the whole skew. So it's so you have your 18 Alpha, your 180 Alpha, 18 Zulu, who's the senior enlisted.
Okay.
So he runs the detachment.
Gotcha.
And then you have 2 of the MOSs. So you have a senior and junior. So you have your Bravo, which is weapons, Charlie, which is engineering, Delta is the medic, Echoes that are communications, and then you have the one anomaly, which is an 18 Fox, which is an intel sergeant.
Oh, okay.
And so it's made to be split. So you have 12 men, and then if like, hey, we got to do split operations, the 18 Alpha takes half the men, and then the 180 Alpha takes the other half.
Okay.
And so you have a 6-man detachment on each side. So they can be split even down. And then they're specialized. You know, it kind of depends on the group, but usually like, so my, so 311 was one of my first teams. So the 0 was 10th group, and then the 0. So
Out of Colorado?
Correct.
Okay.
So 3 would then be the battalion, 1 would be Alpha Company, and then Team 1 would be the other one. So 0311.
Wow.
And then then you'd have 0312, 0313, and then all the way down. And each one of those teams specializes in a unique skill set. So usually like the 4th team is usually the Halo team. The 5th team is always the dive team. It's not exclusive by MTO, but that's how it typically works.
Yeah.
And so they all specialize. Like the 2nd team is always the mountain team. So depending on whatever is being asked to be accomplished, if they needed that particular infiltration skill set, they would tag that team to do it.
Okay, that makes sense. So that way they're taking the people that they believe are the most proficient in that particular
So while
skill.
you'll definitely see like Halo qualified people all the way throughout the company, you would just be hard pressed to match the actual Halo team because their entire training cycle is built specifically for insertion via Halo.
Okay.
So they are way more proficient at it because it really just comes down to money.
Yeah.
And so they get the money that is allocated towards specific training. They're the first ones to get the new equipment to test it, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay. And so you said, was it 16 years?
What's that? 2016 when I became a warrant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. So from 2016 until when you retired. So
and then 2025, just last year, then I retired.
And you, like throughout that time, how many times did you deploy over your whole career? Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah, of course. I would say.
You got that many fingers?
No.
No?
No, I probably.
How long are your deployments?
Yeah, so that's where
the question.
Yeah, too, that's the more honest answer is like because some of them were smaller, like as short as 3 months.
Okay.
So those ones are hard. So when somebody say how many times you deploy, I feel like I'm kind of like boasting myself if I say a big number because to give credit to like the infantry would deploy and they're there for a year. So for me,
year.
Yeah.
God
but they have one deployment. Now, granted, at that time I might have deployed 3 times, but I went down for 2 months to go do something specific.
Something specific, yeah.
So collectively, I did not do as much time as they did, is the way that I like to see it. But
yeah,
I have a lot of time, and a very diverse one. I spent a lot of time in Africa, chasing Joseph Kony's ass, throughout the continent of Africa.
Joseph Kony?
Yeah.
Who's Joseph Kony?
I can't really remember. He was a known terrorist for Boko Haram, if I remember correctly.
Oh, really? Out of Nigeria?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, he was, still to this day, I joke about it all the time, but I always felt like he was like some type of like name that they just made to, to be able to give us, ability to move throughout the other countries because we were going after this guy that we could never find, but
they're like, this dude's not real, but we're saying we're looking for him.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to let us look for him in your country.
Yeah, we're here to help. So not to go down that realm too much, but I was like, we got to find this guy. He's got to be somewhere. But every time we showed up, they'd be like, he was just here.
You just missed him.
So I was just, if I got to go through one more jungle to find this guy, but yeah, so I got to spend a lot of time in Africa, and then I spent a lot of time throughout Europe. I spent a lot of time in Ukraine, and then of course in the Middle East.
In Ukraine before the war.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So my first one was there.
Afterwards,
I see. I was there. What was it? 2014 during the Orange Revolution.
Oh wow.
So that's when we first got there, and then that's when we knew, everybody kind of thought the Russian incursion was just like some myth. But, I mean, we started planning for the Russian incursion in 2014.
No kidding.
Yeah, so we immediately started to establish their own Q course, train-the-trainer stuff, the stuff that, Green Berets do very well. And so, we started back as early as then.
That's the funny thing about Green Berets is the only thing I really knew about Green Berets before I ever met them was that the main purpose behind Green Berets is to go to another nation and train them how to defend themselves or train them how to do something. Mm-hmm. That was like the main purpose, like irregular warfare kind of stuff. However, obviously they're very versatile. Like every special forces group in whatever branch, like MARSOC can do all these things.
On demand for sure, but FID is definitely one of our, the bread and butter.
FID, what's that?
Yeah, Foreign Internal Defense.
Foreign Internal Defense.
Yeah, so that's, definitely where we come in and help whatever organization or company we're working with, because we're we pride ourselves on force multiplication. That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's the surgical stuff we leave, like the SEALs and, other organizations do that extremely well. But, as an example of the Orange Revolution in 2014, we try to think really long term.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how do we work ourselves out of a job? Can we train these people to be as competent or more competent than we are to be able to do everything on their own?
Yeah.
And so that's how we, operate in Ukraine. And my humble opinion, we did it pretty well. I think they're doing, as well as could be expected.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee that the work you guys put in at that time probably resulted in some later successes down the road. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you. Obviously, like the whole situation's crazy. Just like the amount of lives that have been lost overall the entire period of time, been pretty massive. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to even quantify. I remember in 2022, I had to go to a course on Fort Bragg actually briefly before I was going out to go to CENTCOM for my only CENTCOM deployment, which was long after everything was already over.
Down in Florida? Just kidding.
Yeah, Dan, not in Florida, yeah. No, but while I was there, I remember reading some stats about how there's 100 people dying a day in this one place called Soledar, which is it was right outside of Bakhmut, which was the city everybody sees as this completely ruined, destroyed city. And Soledar, apparently the fighting was so crazy there. There's 100 people dying per day, every day for a while there, and that's an entire company of people. That's crazy to think about. It's hard to wrap your head around, just because especially as U.S. service members, we've done a pretty good job of reducing the amount of people that we lose pretty well. I mean, obviously, every person that we lose is significant. It's not there's another loss. It's that one person being lost is you saw how much of an insane impact it took anytime any major casualty, mass casualty situation took place over the past 25 years, 26 years, right? It's much more shocking for us because we're not used to losing that many people, because we have very good tactics. We're very efficient with protecting our people. We've got, usually we've got better technology, so we can use that to leverage to keep our people safer. So that was really tough for me to wrap my head around, just mentally thinking about, man, 100 people a day. And of course, everybody's seen all the videos out there. So much heinous, like awful, atrocious stuff. It's not really something that we should be consuming on a daily basis. It's just not good for your mental health. I guarantee, regardless, like there's probably some point at somewhere where the things they learned from you guys probably helped them for sure. Guarantee that. But you ended up doing that for another 16 so another 10 years after that, pretty much, and then just shut the door on it recently, right?
Correct. Yep.
And what's your opinion of life after so far?
I love it. I don't regret a single day of being in the military. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I just personally, I was just ready to do something different. I was that young, naive kind of guy that just chased every single school I could get.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my years away from my family. So, I remember for years on end, I would, do a 6-month pump, come back, go to a school that was 3 months, come back, do 2 months of training to prep for the deployment, take a week of leave, and then deploy again.
That's bananas.
And so, I would do that back to back to back, so it was like one of those things. So I only bring that up simply because I felt like I really neglected my family during those years, with my kids being young at the time. And so, once I hit 20, no hate whatsoever, because the military absolutely needs them. But for me, the only positions that were left for me was like being a staff officer at like battalions or groups, and reviewing concepts and training concepts and working with budgets and stuff. And that just wasn't my jam. Quite frankly, if they would have let me stay on an ODA, I probably would have done it. But they were like, absolutely not. You can't stay.
Absolutely not. You can't do that.
You have to promote and go up.
That'd be like if a major was like, I want to keep being a platoon commander. Like, no, you can't do that anymore.
Same
Sorry.
stuff. You understand.
You have to do
Officer
paperwork
realm,
now.
if you don't meet things and you don't keep climbing and stuff, they just tell you. So,
yeah.
But I left on great terms and everything. I was just ready to do something different with my life. And then at the time when I knew I was going to get out, then I started doing more active work with the Special Forces Foundation. Ignacio Garza, who's the president there, brought me on to be the CEO of the Special Forces Foundation. That's when I really started to learn more about the philanthropic realm, because I really loved the idea of like giving back and helping the operators who needed it.
Yeah.
And so getting into that realm and really starting to learn and cut my teeth there. And then luckily, I ran into the Black Rifle guys a couple years ago. And then when I came up for the DoD Skill Bridge program, I took advantage of that and did that with Black Rifle, and then they hired me on.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skill Bridge is a hidden gem.
It is.
Especially if you can do Skill Bridge with Black Rifle. That's not something I even would have ever considered as being like a possibility.
Yeah, we've just now, I think we have 3 newish hires right now that all came from DoD Skill Bridge.
No kidding.
So yeah, if you get on I'm pretty sure it's probably on LinkedIn or whatever, but yeah, we bring people in constantly in Skill Bridge. It's a great kind of combination, because it allows a great company like Black Rifle to, because you have the ability to vet them and vice versa. So I feel like it's really, so the military's paying the money to keep give me my salary, but at the same time, who says that I did DoD Skill Bridge with Black Rifle, and I was like, dude, this sucks. I never want to do this stuff. At least then I knew, and I'm not just like now out in the streets without a job. So it allowed me to kind of see if this is something I want to do with my life with this organization that I wanted to invest in, and vice versa. Just as importantly, they had the ability to kind of look at me and just be like, hey, is this guy a good fit for our organization? Does he represent us well? Is this what we want? And so I'm a huge advocate of the DoD Skill Bridge, because I think it's both beneficial for the organization and the person coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I have a bunch of friends that did Skill Bridge in various different like occupational special like fields or whatever, like tons of different, because they have a ton of different options for people based on what your interests are and stuff. And I think that's a really good way to kind of like ease people into civilian life, rather than just like, here's your DD-214, good luck. And then they get out and they haven't got a clue what they're going to do for work, or you know what I mean. So it's just like a really good program. I'm glad people are using it, especially the younger cats that they maybe they just did 4 years and they're going to go to, maybe they don't want to go to college, but they're like, I don't want to necessarily just start working right off the bat doing some dead end job that's like as a security guard or something, So it's a good way to kind of like segue into civilian life, almost transition into it pretty good. So All right. Well, cool, man. We'll do more of a deep dive later on, I'm sure. But I want to make sure we have enough time to kind of go into what your experiences have been so far, Logan. I know you said you obviously in the Marine Corps. When did you join the Marine Corps?
Yeah, 07.
07.
Went to boot camp. Yep.
Okay.
I took a couple months off after graduating high school. Graduated in 05.
Okay.
And got out into the world a little bit. Tried to do school. Realized that wasn't for me, and I remember my friend group was just doing the same thing. Buy a case of Busch Light, not a case like the big cases. 24 pack. You know,
that's what when I think a case, I think 24.
Yeah, preferably like the mossy oak Busch Light cases. The good thing. Go party in the trailer park that's right next to the campus, and man, that got so stale so quick.
Yeah.
And for me, coming from a small town, the best claim to fame where I grew up was that the refrigerator plant turned into a glider plant during World War II, and 8,000 kids growing up in a small town. And
what state?
Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah.
What part of Michigan?
Greenville. Right. Greenville, right in the middle of the mitten. Yep.
Okay, I was up in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, so
in December.
Pretty close to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the big town that you went to go.
Okay.
Go to the mall or whatever you do in the big town, right?
Yeah. Go to the mall.
Yeah. So, I've got clear. You got these touch points in your memory to different things. And this one winter, this guy had come back and he was in the Michigan Reserves in the Marine Corps, and he was in 03 and he came in. I remember he had this tattoo, and it was like the infantry version of the NBA or MLB, like red and white or red and blue logo with the white in the middle, but it was like a dude holding the AR M16.
Okay.
And he was telling me some of the stuff that he was in experience in Iraq and taking shrapnel and stuff like that. And I had this come to Jesus moment where I'm holding a Busch Light can in my hand and I'm listening to these stories. I'm like, what am I doing? All these important things are out there. People our my age are off in this fight, and I'm sitting here in a trailer park, drinking beer. Let's get on with the show here. And really just got to this point, man, I feel like I need to join the fight, and so went to the Marine Corps recruiter office. There was no I'm going to check this one out. I'm just I want to go fight. Stick me where I need to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell any of my family. And I was shuttling back and forth between where I was going to school in Lansing, and my roommates at the time, they thought that I had gotten a DUI in Lansing because I just kept going down there back and forth. They didn't know.
They thought you had gotten a DUI.
Yeah,
they're like, you must be going to court.
They thought I was going to court appointments and stuff. So
damn.
I just kind of, I was like, I need to do this. The independent journey of a man began then, right? Where I was just I don't need anybody to go do this. I'm just gonna go solo through this endeavor.
Yeah.
And then got into the infantry, and that's when you have this idea of what the epitome of the Marine Corps is, going into it, and then you go to boot camp and you're like, well, this isn't quite what I thought it would be. You're expecting to be with a bunch of hammers with fucking wonderful haircuts, and you're like, this is kind of easy physically. It's tough in the adaptation that you have to have into it, but outside of that, I was like, it's whatever, bullets, it's cool. And then got into the infantry and going through SOI. I remember talking to someone who had gone through previous, and they were like, get into something specialized. That was the piece of advice I was getting to. So when we were kind of choosing the secondary MOSs, you go through the run of machine gunner and tow gunner and all the other stuff, and I heard the assaultman. I was like, so I get to hammer doors, blow shit up, and shoot rockets, and I gotta do math. I'm like, that's my guy right there. So I went the assaultman track and went and did
R.I.P. R.I.P. assaultman.
Yeah, all my professions no longer exist. It's kind of sad.
All my professions no longer exist.
They were not relevant anymore.
R.I.P. sniper school too, man. Yeah. God, most of my best friends in the Marine Corps were snipers because they were always older. And so like, and plus being in weapons company, I was like the old guy. So I always hung out. My roommate went to the sniper indoc our first deployment.
Yeah.
When we were on a UDP, and I was like doing the what is it called, the MAI course while he was doing that, and like I was in pain because I was like old and like falling apart and getting thrown every day. But all of his toenails had fallen out from doing the indoc, and I'm like, well, I guess I don't really have anything to complain about. Never mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, kind of side note, but yeah. All right, I did mean to interject, but so you went through the pipeline. They're like, you're smart, you can do math. You want to do something specialized? That's the recommendation you got?
Yeah, I wouldn't say smart, but like able to do a minimal amount of math and calculations when it comes to explosives and stuff like that.
I say the same thing about myself. I wouldn't say smart, but I can math a little bit, just not in public.
I refuse. Never do math in public.
Yeah, never do math.
Never
in
works
public.
out well.
But you got to blow a lot of stuff up, I'm sure.
Yeah. I was like, this is awesome. Like I remember, doing that job is super fun because you're settling into this like capability enhancement in yourself, and you're like, wait, no, I'm deadly all of a sudden. Like, this is rad. Like, this is what I signed up for. And then first pump was the 15th MEU. Spent a lot of time on ship on that one. Did a lot of time in Southeast Asia. Like, ran the gauntlet of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Ended up sitting in Kuwait for way too long. Like, this is 08. Iraq is still popping off, and I'm like, all right, we're going, right? And, typical to the Marine Corps, we just sat there.
Of course.
And didn't do anything. And then ship broke down, got stranded in Bahrain for a while.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
See, this is when I'm talking about deployments. I never did a real deployment like that. That's
like the
hardcore.
classic Marine Corps deployment. It's like, we went to Kuwait, we sat there for a while. We were like all ready to go to combat, and they're like, no, I'm sorry, they don't need us right now. And then we went to Bahrain, it broke down. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I was in great shape after that deployment.
I bet, yeah. PT, chow, training.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, my hack on ship was that I hate lines. I refused to stand in the chow line. But there was a way, like, if you didn't want the full, like, chow platter, you could go, there was, like, the little, did you do any time on ship?
I never did time on an American ship, no.
So you can go in the back door, and you can hit, like, the salad bar.
Yeah.
And the salad bar had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So I would just load up on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so I was just like heavy carb loading, working out all day, spending as minimal time in the chow hall as possible. And that's when I was telling you before, I had this really great platoon commander that first deployment. He was a Mustang, which you guys don't have that term in the Army. I realized that recently.
What is that?
See,
Mustang? You guys don't call them Mustangs?
Mm-mm. It's when an enlisted goes into officer.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a guy
cool.
that starts out as
How did I
enlisted
know that?
and becomes a commissioned officer afterwards. Not warrant officer, because every warrant officer is a fucking Mustang, so you don't call a warrant. But yeah, if you go enlisted to commission, it's funny. I found out yesterday the State Department has a program called the Mustang program. That's based off of similar stuff. I think it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you had a Mustang officer that took you under his wing.
Yeah, and he was like the epitome of what a Marine should be. He Silver Star from Fallujah, took a bunch of shrapnel to his back, saved a couple guys' lives in the process of Fallujah. And for whatever reason, he saw something in me. He was a sniper during Fallujah, and kind of took me under his wing. And that was when, you see this mentorship that you really like hope for throughout your career, to where like, we're all looking for someone to care about us and love, whether, when we think about what the brotherhood is of the military and what we're actually looking for, it's for that, like, no, I'll take care of you and mentor you. And then like, motherfucker, I'll die for you. Like, that's what we're all after in life. Right. And like, I experienced that on that first deployment, and he started like just feeding me knowledge. And it was like, when we get back, think about doing the NDOC, prep me for all that. And then got home, and again, like you go through the NDOC and you're like, this is what I signed up for, man. Like, this is everything I wanted out of the Marine Corps, and got into the sniper platoon. And, what's interesting about the scout snipers was in the Marine Corps was, you're kind of this specialized group of people, but you serve the whole entire battalion. And so you're like kind of special, but you're not super special because you're still serving the guys on the ground, you know? And I really like that role, like still being a part of it, being part of that original unit, but having this kind of specialization in what you're doing. And like we were talking about story earlier, like my heroic journey, where like I think about that Carlos Hathcock book, Sniper. Like I read that on my first deployment. I carried that around in my cargo pocket. And that Vietnam had such a big role in what I thought of the Marine Corps and what I thought of as good Marines. And I think a lot of the ones are right because we want these touch points to our previous generations and what those guys went through. And Vietnam was, you know, this thing that was these guys didn't have the kind of glory of World War II. They didn't have like this all-encompassing totality of support. And so like I really resonated with these guys who were serving in this capacity of, you know, they didn't have like people back home that were like, you know, not everybody was 100% invested in their unit, and like and so that they like crafted a different type of human within the Marine Corps. And I think it added a certain layer of grit to those guys. And I really enjoyed reading those stories all throughout my Marine Corps, because you're sitting in Kuwait and you're kind of just waiting, like you're sitting and waiting, and then you're just consuming all this knowledge and like wondering if you're going to get your opportunity and your moments to go be in these same situations that these other guys are in. And so all these things started to line up for me, and then going, and I was in Hawaii for my Scout Sniper basic course. The Scout Sniper school, back when it was 8541s, was one big long course, 12 weeks long, and then they ended up splitting it up into a basic course and a team leader course. And so I did the basic course in Hawaii.
Oh, it used to be a 12-week course?
Yeah, back before it was 0317.
Wait, I'm sorry. So it was a 3-month course when you went through, right?
No, that was before when the MOS was 8541.
Okay.
It was a full 12-week course.
12-week.
And then later on, they split that up. The MOS changed to 0317.
And then later, they increased it back to 3 months again for 0317. Because all my buddies that went through later on, probably like after you had gotten out, like I think when the guys were going in like 2015, 16, 17, 18, it was back at 3 months again, I think. So it's changed all the time. It changes all the time. Like I know it went away for a little bit after Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
Like it went away, and then they like did away with it, and then it came back. They probably changed it a bunch. Then they shift around.
Yep.
So because the team leaders course used to be one of the advanced courses that they would go to, and they only had the team leaders course. I think you had to go to Quantico for it. I'm pretty sure. And then
at one point, yeah.
Yeah, at one point. And then they had Urban Sniper, which was, you could go to that, and I think it was Camp Hansen, Okinawa, or something like that. And then Mountain Sniper and all that.
Over in Bridgeport, yeah.
Yeah, Bridgeport, which was like, it was explained to me that was one of the harder advanced sniper courses you could go to, just because of.
Yeah, you go through that in the winter. You know, those summer and winter courses are vastly different, but that winter Bridgeport.
Did you go to Bridgeport in the winter?
I didn't do it while I was in. I did like me and another sniper buddy. We have a recon friend who's basically doing like a civilian Bridgeport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A civilian Bridgeport?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What does that entail?
A lot of the same thing, like a hellacious movement with shooting involved in it, and just existing out in the snow for a while with pulling a sled.
Okay.
Skis, the whole nine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark D'Ambrosio. That's the guy we did it with. He was one of the dudes. He was on season 7 of Alone. You remember that show?
Oh, yeah. Mark D'Ambrosio?
D'Ambrosio, yeah.
D'Ambrosio, okay. Yeah, Alone is that one where they would just drop you off by yourself, and you got to just survive for as long as you can, and everybody else has gotten dropped off at the same time. It's like whoever survives the longest wins the money or whatever.
Yeah.
That one guy ended up winning because he ended up like getting enough fish, and like he was able to keep enough fat on him or something like that to like survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty damn good show, man.
Yeah, he would have won it too. He got he started having heart issues and stomach issues.
Yeah.
And what is the? It's escaping me right at the moment, but you wouldn't think that you would get it from fish. Typically, what is that called? It's anything that eats other dead animals can get it. It'll come to me when I'm not thinking about it. But so he got that. He didn't find out till later after he got off the show. He should have won it because he was catching a shitload of fish, but he got it from
Yeah,
fish.
he was really good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trichinosis.
Trichinosis. Yeah,
There
you
it
get it
is.
from eating bears too.
Yep.
That's a real big thing.
Bear
You gotta be
is
careful
the
about
main
bear.
thing that people get it from.
Yeah.
He ended up getting it from fish, which a lot of
That's weird.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like if an animal has trichinosis, can you heat it up to a certain temperature to kill that bacteria?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah, so that way you're not. The only downside is like people want to eat bear, like not well done. But I don't know.
You got to eat bear at like you got to cook it 165 plus. But
165
you're
plus.
cooking over an open fire typically when you're
Yeah.
in that sort of situation where you're
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. If you're out in your own.
Fish, you're not like typically trying to like cook it to a certain temperature up that high.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that he was expecting he would have to deal with going through that season. But
Yeah, I think Steven Ranella got trichinosis.
yeah, he got it from eating bear.
Yeah, yeah, he talked about that before. He's great. I'm sure. I figured you'd probably know. I know you hunt. You do a lot of hunting. Yeah, I figured you'd probably know who Steven is. I love that whole series. That whole all about that, all that stuff. So anyway, I kept interrupting you. So you went through the Scout Sniper School, and you graduated from the Hawaii Scout Sniper School and came back to Camp Pendleton, right?
Yep.
And what year was that when you graduated?
09.
09?
Yep.
Okay. How much longer was your unit in a work? Well, you were still 2-5 at the time, right?
Yeah, I was in 2-5 at that time. I did one more deployment with 05, which was an Oki trip. We went to, there's actually a Marine Corps installation at Mount Fuji in Japan.
Yeah.
We spent a bunch
Camp
of time
Fuji.
there.
I went up there.
Did you?
Yeah. They got a really nice mountain town up there.
Yep.
With subterranean stuff too.
Yep. So we did a bunch of training with the Japanese Army.
Okay.
Which was interesting because back then they were still in their 50-year period of not being able to do any offensive operations.
Yeah.
So we're doing collaborative training ops, and those guys have no idea how to patrol because they never do it.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to like figure out how to patrol with these guys, and we don't speak the language. It was like very awkward. It was very interesting training evolution.
I bet.
So we did that, and then came back, switched over to 3-5, went and did that other team leader course in Pendleton at the schoolhouse there, and then ripped for the Afghanistan deployment.
They offered the team leader course in Pendleton at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm sure it's probably moved. Like, everything changes all the time, so I'm sure it was probably like offered there at one point, and then they stopped offering it there, and they moved it to Quantico, and then they didn't offer it to. It's all kinds of weird stuff just moving around. So was that the only advanced sniper course that you had gone to at that point? It was just the team leader's course?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you went to Afghanistan, and you said 2009?
10.
2010?
Yep.
Okay. And let me see. Was the weapons company and headquarters company, was the sniper platoon in weapons company or headquarters company at that time?
It's one of those weird things where it's always different depending on the unit. We were attached to H&S when we were in 3-5.
Okay, that's why I was asking, because I know some units, like my buddies, I have a couple buddies that were snipers in 2-9, and they said that they were in the headquarters company too, which is kind of interesting, because instead of it being like weapons company is like kind of in control of it, they became more of like, the snipers are a battalion asset regardless, but like if the H&S company commander's your company commander, it's different than having like the weapons company as your company commander.
Yeah, it was, from my experience, typically guys liked it better when they were attached to H&S because they had a little bit more autonomy because they didn't have a infantry overlord necessarily.
Yeah.
So they had a little bit more freedom of movement there, and so you could kind of get away with a little bit more there.
Yeah, you just kind of go off and do your own thing. He doesn't know what you guys are doing because he's not an infantry guy, 9 times out of 10 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you landed in Bagram probably, imagine, when you landed in country?
Yeah.
And then you flew in helicopters from there?
Well, we ended up, we flew into Leatherneck.
Okay.
Bastion.
On fixed wing?
Yep.
Okay.
And then into Sangin from there.
On helicopters?
Yep.
And then how long were you guys in Sangin for?
Just over 7 months.
7 months.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have any good logistical support with trucks or anything like that down there?
Yeah, there was a pretty steady state coming from Leatherneck at that time. We ended up being pretty cut off from everything. We would get, once every couple weeks we would see somebody able to come. We were on the western forward edge of the area of operations, and so we were kind of cut off. And then just the way that everything ended up panning out, we had to keep pushing forward, and we split our sniper platoon into 3 different sections, and so each company within the battalion had a sniper section attached to them. And so I was with Lima Company, and we were all in this one specific patrol base Almas, and then we ended up pushing forward, setting up an OP, didn't get reinforcements in there, so the guys that were operating out of there, patrolling every day, had to go set up this other OP, dually man those things, so we ended up splitting our sniper section up into 5-man teams, and then would rotate back and forth to that OP.
So each company had some snipers in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys were very disaggregated at that point, yeah. I'm sure that, did the rest of the weapons company got to do similar things during that?
Weapons company was primarily mounted throughout that operation, and doing a lot of clearing throughout there.
Yeah.
Sangan was primarily a IED development area, so we had a huge IED issue. It was a daily occurrence that something was happening, and this was when the MRAPs had those big rollers on the front of them.
Mine rollers.
We got to the southern fob, and you roll into that place, and it's just a fucking graveyard of MRAPs everywhere. You're looking at hundreds of MRAPs that are just destroyed, splayed out.
Hundreds?
All over. Yeah, tons.
Jesus.
You're just like, oh, okay.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's that was the deployment where that was a pretty kinetic deployment for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to go into super detail. That can be for another time, but yeah, I've had friends tell me stories about that. There are a couple different friends that were in 3rd or 5th Marines that were either on that deployment or out there with them on that deployment, attached in some way or working with them in some facet. So I remember that was a kind of a tough one. And like you're saying, Sangan was known for being heavily laden with IDs.
Yeah. Our other guy, Jonathan Blank, who's also with BRC, is
Jonathan Blank.
So he was just north of where we were when he was with 1st Recon, where he ended up getting hit. A very short walk away from where I was. Didn't know him at all. Didn't know where he was at the time.
But you were there at the same time.
Yeah.
See, that's a good example of how small of a world it is. Operating in the same area, you run into each other.
Yeah, we didn't meet
5-10 years later.
20. We didn't end up meeting until 6 years later.
6 years later.
He happened to be living in Salt Lake and rolled through, and it's like, where were you at?
Yeah.
Oh, when were you there?
You know what's funny? I ran into a dude that was one of the pilots that I was on a helicopter for flying back from Syria at SHOT Show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, saw him yesterday. He's like, hey, dude, I was your pilot flying you back from Syria a couple times while you were out there in 2023. I'm like, holy hell, dude. How's it going, man? That's crazy. And the dude remembered me.
Yeah.
I was all, in kit and stuff, and might probably look different in uniform than I do in not in uniform, and it's like he remembered me from that,
I got a buddy here that I see every single year that I worked with in Bosnia Herzegovina.
Yeah.
And so every year we kind of see each other and like, hey man, how you doing? How's Bosnia? And so he always comes out here, and
that's funny.
Yeah, so it's kind of always interesting,
Yeah.
Small world, especially from Bosnia,
Yeah.
Most people can't point that out on a map, but
well, that's what I'm saying. What are the odds that somebody that was in the same area, you end up working with them?
Yeah.
You never even met them before.
Yeah.
That's pretty serendipitous almost, And then obviously it was I was like, what the hell? You were my pilot flying back from Syria. What the hell, dude? What are you doing here? There's a lot of weird things that happen like that are just it's just, I mean, it just reminds you of how small of a world it is, especially in this community, like whatever you want to call it, like military veteran community, and which is why I always say it like pays to be, a good dude, be a good human being.
Yeah, that's why coming here to this is fun, right? You get the small world implementation and kind of gets you back to those touch points of times of service and stuff like that, and it goes a long way towards having those memories mean something, and being connected to that brotherhood. And, it always seems like, especially with social media the way it is now, everything seems so dramatic. And I was telling him earlier, I'm like, man, it's so good to come here because it's face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
And like we fucking desperately need that as a society these days, Yeah. And so for as much as conundrum of trying to engage and being busy, it's holistically worth it to come and do these things because you understand, oh yeah, that's right, like the brotherhood is strong all across the whole entire industry.
Yeah.
I love seeing what other people are doing. I ran into Bob Davis, who I've always highly respected. He was the USASOC, Command Chief Warrant Officer. So he was like my boss's boss's boss. He was up there.
He was the
you don't get much higher than Bob Davis.
Was
but
he
a man,
Chief Warrant Officer 5?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And,
that's like a damn seeing a unicorn or something.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys snap a photo of him in the wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal human. And so, but I just saw him last night, and I'm like,
No
Bob,
kidding.
and he's over working for SIG now, and I was like, that's awesome.
Working for SIG?
Yeah.
Good
So
for him.
I was like, that's awesome. I just love to kind of just run into the people, that I've come across, and SHOT Show is a perfect opportunity for that because we all end up collectively, a lot of us are here and stuff, so it's kind of cool. And
I ran into the former commandant of the Marine Corps here last year, General Neller. I snapped a photo with him in 29 Palms because they had one squad leader from each company come eat an MRE with him in the chow hall there, because they wanted to just talk to us and stuff. And I don't know if I could show him the picture or not because I didn't have service at the time, but I took another picture then. I didn't post it. I don't think I posted it because I didn't want to put him on blast or he probably didn't know who I am or didn't know anything about me. He probably didn't remember me at all. But it's cool seeing him, run into him again. That's familiar face, even if he didn't remember. We had a little conversation about. I was like, have you been able to spend more time with your grandkids? Because I know that was one of the reasons he wanted to retire, because he was very old and didn't have that much time to spend with his family. I mean, you talk about man, I wish I'd spent more time with my kids, back in those days. But imagine if he'd been in for 50 years doing that.
That's hard.
That's
how Bob is, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he did 35 or 36 years of service.
That's a lot.
He
man.
joined, just a few years after I was born, and I'm not young. So just to give you an idea. So when you put it into perspective, because my first team sergeant jumped in the Grenada. I'm like, what?
That's what?
And
that's so crazy.
And not to talk shit on the newer generation, but now we got people showing up that wasn't even alive during 9/11.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, it's my time to go. My time's done here.
Yeah, it's my time to go.
And I was always the young guy. For some reason, I always hung out with the older guys, so I was always the young dude. So all my friends that I grew up with all retired. They were all done. So it kind of just, I'd walk the halls and be like, I don't know any of these people, and the only friends I still have are now command sergeant majors that don't have any time because they're command sergeant majors,
Yeah.
And, the guys that I went through the Q course, that officers are group commanders now and stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's just Nick. They can't say that. That's sir. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
I remember Captain Nick.
Yeah, I remember Captain
He had
Nick.
no idea what he was doing, but phenomenal people. But it's just when it's time,
Yeah.
I had a great mentor, Tom Sandoval, who's an absolute legend. And he told me, I asked him, I was like, I was debating, like, what was this? This was a long time ago. And when I was going to become a warrant officer, and he absolutely hated the idea of becoming a warrant officer. He's like, Dean, you're a great soldier. Why would you ruin your career by becoming a warrant officer?
Why would you ruin your career?
Yeah. He wasn't absolute. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I don't mind being a warrant officer and stuff, but in SF, warrant officers have a very bad stereotype of being kind of fat, out of shape, you know, and
really,
you know, it gets bad. Like, you know, you're the guy that's never there. Like, you're fat, you're out of shape, you know, you're not an asset to the team and stuff like that. And I hated that, and I took that very seriously. So if I saw a fat warrant officer, I would, you know, try to.
Oh wait, I'm confusing something. I was thinking Randy Shutgart. He was a CAG guy, wasn't he? He wasn't a Green Beret.
I don't know the name.
Randy Shutgart. I think he's one of the guys that was there.
Gothic Serpent.
What's that?
Gothic Serpent.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the Black Hawk Down incident. Yeah, Gothic Serpent's the correct term for it. I just say Black Hawk Down because I'm uneducated, but
you're also a Marine, so.
Well, yeah.
That's fair.
Well, so are you. But
I only know it probably because we did the coffee for it. And
okay.
That's how I know it.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think he was a chief warrant officer, I want to say.
Yeah, but pilot, though. It's different in SF. SF is weird with warrant officers because warrant officers in Special Forces is the only combat MOS that's a warrant officer.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit weird. And our guys are much more senior. So, like, if you're a W-2 in Special Forces, you know, you have at that time probably 15 years of service.
Oh, okay.
If you go over to meet a W-2 pilot, you know, heck, they've been in 5 or 6 years or something.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a little bit, you know, different of a. But however, everybody always confused me until he's like, "Hey, are you a pilot? I want to be a pilot." So I just always roll with him. Like, yeah, man, I love flying.
Did you? But you had a beard while you were in, though, right?
It depends on what we were doing. So
okay.
Just as long as it met like mission, you know, requirements.
Okay.
You know, it's you know, we get it. You know, we are very privileged in Special Forces. We get along, and quite frankly, a lot of us are very entitled to a lot of things. Like, I ain't filling out your form, you know. Special.
You know what's wild is like when I was in Erbil, I won't say what group or any names or anything, but they're like, we've got this person coming by who's like I think it was the CJTF commanding general, who I think was a 3-star, and they're like, you're gonna have a shaved face. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have like the issued boots, not like you're not gonna have these on. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have, you know, it's all this stuff. I was like, this happens in Special Forces. I was like confused. I was like, I mean, I'm tracking like, you know, when you're close to the flagpole or you got some guest coming, it's like, I get it. You're a Marine. You better have your face shaved. You better have a haircut. You better have like the right cover. You better not look like trash in your uniform, you know?
Yeah.
I better not be wearing some unauthorized shoes, you know?
White socks.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But I didn't know that happened with like Green Berets. I was like, damn.
I mean, it was a little bit uncommon, but usually what we would do is if we knew some significant leadership was coming on, we'd usually hide the men. We'd be like, hey,
we would hide the men.
You guys
in a
you
wall
guys,
locker.
You guys are going on a patrol or something to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know? And then obviously the captain would always look. He would be the one that would always have to. If he didn't look great, then he was. You know, like you say goodbye to
the captain's like, "Don't worry, I'll shave my face for all of you. And I'll sacrifice myself."
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how many times I'd see the captain on like a VTC with all he'd be wearing was just the top. You know, and then he'd be wearing Ranger panties and everything. You'd see his hat and his dip can and everything on the side. You know, just looking very professional and stuff.
That's hilarious.
So yeah,
no shoes, no pants,
nothing.
Silkies,
nothing.
What if the guy was like, "You better, hey, I need you to stand up for me. Stand up for me real quick." He stands up and he's got Ranger panties on, bro. Silkies. He'd be like,
"Yeah.
What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, to be fair, I mean, like they were all captains at one point in their time too, so they probably. I mean, that's the thing is like your senior leaders, you know, especially like if you spend so much time in SF, it got so bad towards the end because like one of my primary duties as the assistant detachment commander was pretty obvious, was to assist the detachment commander.
Yeah,
and that was to help mentor him and everything, but. Hell, after I did it for like 5 years, I'd get like a new captain would come in, phenomenal inspirational person and stuff, and they'd be like, hey Dean, I got these ideas I want to do for train up and ranges and stuff, and I just let them talk, and they'd go on and stuff, and then the next day I'd be like, here's all the stuff, to execute it. Be like, how did you put all that together so fast? I was like, it's like the last 3 captains all wanted the exact same.
The last 3 captains wanted to do the same
I updated the dates on it for you, and then please review.
I updated the dates.
Because I loved it when they were like, hey, I got this new idea.
Dude, I totally lied. Like, I was grinding. I haven't slept.
Right.
Went through 3 cans of Copenhagen, but I'm here to serve you, sir.
It got so bad at one point that I'd be like, and then next week you're going to want to do this. And they'd be like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, yeah, I bet it is. The last guy did the same thing, and the guy before that. So
that's funny.
It becomes a little bit like Groundhog Day when you've been around for a while. But the beauty of it was it allowed me to kind of really mentor like captains and stuff. To kind of steer them in the right direction. Because you would know all the nuances and stuff. And
then also you're like that the middleman between like the men and the skipper,
Yeah, I mean, like, coming from the enlisted background, so I could understand the MOSs really well, and I loved like one of my last team sergeants, Bryson Preddy, who was a complete rock star. We worked really well together and stuff, and I'd bridge the gap, and me and him would work together, to just make sure, like, because the team sergeant, the 18 Zulu, runs the ODA. That's why they call him the team daddy.
The team sergeant.
Mm-hmm. So if he walks in and says that we're going left. We're going left.
It doesn't matter what anyone else says.
The detachment commander would be like, yeah, we're going to left, man. You're going to agree with the team. The team sergeant runs the...
How long has the team sergeant usually been in for?
Probably anywhere from about 16 to 20 years.
Wow.
So that just shows you the sheer amount of experience that you have on an ODA that I think is underestimated at time. Like, we're not a platoon of a bunch of young guys, and not to take anything away from them, because experience, you just have to earn it. There's nothing you can do except for kind of live life and learn it. But I mean, when you take into the 6 seniors that are on the ODA, and if you count the 7th by the 18 Fox, who has just as much time usually as the 18 Zulu, because he's next in line as a senior leader, I mean, right there, you just have, like 70 years of experience within the military. Then you throw in the juniors, and then so usually the 18 Alpha is the most inexperienced member on an ODA, because unfortunately they usually only get to spend a couple years on a team, and then they have to move up the ranks.
Oh, okay.
So the 18 Alphas, they come and go real fast, and not to take anything from them, but, just like every couple years, here comes the new Alpha. But if you have a good junior that's been on the ODA, I mean, at that point, he's been there for a decade. So it's usually, it's hard to come up to, a senior of anything, especially the Zulu, and say, hey, I have a new idea, and this is what I want to do. And they haven't heard or executed that multiple times.
Yeah, which is or executed multiple times, yeah.
So that's what makes an ODA so great, especially for the commanders to really learn that come in, because they just have this breadth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like Preddy was just like, yeah, I'm going on my 7th deployment to, Afghanistan. I'll tell you anything and everything you want to know. Like, the details. He's like, yeah, it's not like, we do a case study or something. He'd be like, oh yeah, I was there. What would you like to learn about it? Yeah. So like, it was just amazing to kind of watch that. You have that sheer amount of experience.
7th, man, that's a lot. Man.
I kind of made that number up, but that sounds probably about right for Bryson. Yeah. He's a good dude.
I ran into one guy before I left Erbil that was a Marine before he came over to become a Green Beret. Met a couple guys, but one in person, and that was kind of cool. Run into because I was like the only Marine in the building. Mm-hmm. That was it. I also ran into one of my old corpsmen in that building that just happened to have gotten attached to them in Erbil. I was like, that's crazy.
I think you mentioned it before the podcast started, but I always felt that the Marines and Green Berets always had like a very like-minded kind of culture. Yeah. And how we operated and stuff. I had the opportunity to work with MARSOC a couple times, and the Raiders. I mean, I think this was what I want to say, like 2018, maybe 17 or something like that. you saw the Raiders in action, and I remember telling my boss, I was like, dude, they are a force to be reckoned with. The amount of they were not big at all, so very they did not have a lot of assets or people for that matter or anything, but the ones that were over there were very impressive, man. Top tier Marines that just absolutely crushed it, and they would go through, a lot of them went through our Q course, so we spoke the same language, the same SUT, same training mindsets, but yeah, I've always had a huge respect for that, to kind of see that come together. Because you guys probably know better than I do, but on the Marine Corps side, I know they fought the Raiders a little bit on MARSOC. I only heard the rumor mills and everything, but they're just what the idea, how do you become better than a Marine? We talking special Marines, so I know that they, from my little vantage point, I think it was a little bit of a point of frustration in the Corps.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been in MARSOC. I've never even been attached to them before, so I don't really know. I've talked to a bunch of Raiders. I think the last time I was on the rifle range, I talked to a couple of them that were talking about some of those things. But the most recent battle they were fighting was the battle to be allowed to wear their cries, because basically somebody came around. I don't remember who it was, but they're like, "No, you're going to wear Marine Corps MARPAT camis when you're in garrison walking around," because one of the telltale signs for the most part was that if you were attached to them or if you were a critical skills operator, you were authorized to wear multicam, you're wearing cries, because that's what they're going to be deploying wearing. That's what they're going to train in, And so that was I don't know how that battle ended. I don't know if it's over, if it might be still getting fought. It's probably still getting fought.
Yeah, maybe.
I bet. And
because I remember I was in Djibouti working out there, and we were doing operations in the Horn of Africa, and there was MARSOC was there, and I walked into one of the rooms, and I was talking to a few of the guys, and I thought it was an ODA. I had no idea they were Marines. I had a whole conversation with them, hey man, we're gonna spin stuff up, come to the jock later on so you guys can see what's going on for this next operation and stuff. And no idea. I literally thought they were another ODA. They looked just like us and everything.
Yeah.
And they weren't wearing you guys. What's the desert ones you wear? The camouflaged.
The deserts.
Yeah, the Marine Corps uniform.
Oh, just the MARPAT utilities, yeah.
Yeah, MARPAT utilities.
MARPAT.
Yeah, MARPAT, yeah.
See, you guys have cooler names than we do.
Yeah, Marine pattern.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
That's all.
Super cool.
It's pretty simple.
Cool.
Yeah.
So they weren't wearing those or anything. They were all just wearing our uniforms.
Yeah, multicam cries probably. Yeah.
So.
That's funny as hell.
And the guy never said shit. He was just Roger that, man. I'll see you over there.
He did. Roger that, man. I'll see you over there.
I honestly don't know if they should have told them, but they showed up, and it was awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're overseas and you're working with other Americans, I don't think anybody really cares. Everyone wants to help.
Yeah.
At least from my experience, everybody's look, man, how can I help fit into this to be supportive of whatever mission is going on? You know what I mean? I want to be an asset to the team. I don't want to be, unless you're a turd, but usually they're not going to send a turd out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without doubt. And I think, respectfully at the time, I felt the Raiders and MARSOC in general was really trying to find their identity. Of what they did, because obviously the Green Berets have been established for years, the SEALs have been established for years. You got all the JSOC stuff and everything, and everybody kind of had their niche and their thing.
Yeah.
And the Raiders at the time was hey, where do we fit into the plan? The peace and stuff, and so kind of seeing that come together made a lot of sense. But to me, I was just dude, we need more help doing what we're doing. So I love it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that America does pretty good is they figure out how to, have joint operations between branches. The hardest part's always the communication piece, figuring out how everybody's able to get on the same comms, because that's always a challenge. But once you get that hashed out, it usually works pretty well. Because everybody, if it's Americans and we're all out here, we don't care nobody cares what branch you're in. There might be some inter-service rivalries back in the United States, but if you're in country, all that goes out the window. Everybody's what can we do to help? You see it all the time, hear stories about it all the time, which I think is really cool, because it's all the stuff that makes us different gets washed away, and then it's like we are all the same.
Yeah, and you have to adapt with the times. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, like Green Berets, specializing on conventional warfare and FID and stuff. But during the early days of Iraq, everybody became a door kicker.
Yeah.
Every single person was a part of the assault team.
Yeah.
It's just what was needed at the time. So you
Yeah.
adjusted. And then, once the wars closed down, we're like, well, we better get back to what we're supposed to be doing. And you probably have a lot of really big brains saying like, hey, we got to get back to the basics of what we're doing and, get us aligned again, because in many ways, GWAT kind of messed up Green Berets because we started doing, DA became the entire focus.
Direct action. Yeah.
Which is supposed to be not the thing at all,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true, and that's what, and a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people hear Special Forces or Green Beret, they're like, oh man, they must be like doing raids all the time and kicking all the doors in and killing bad guys. And it's like, well, yeah, they could do that stuff, but that's not the primary purpose.
If you have to fire a shot, you've probably failed.
Yeah, because that's not the primary purpose of Green Berets, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, if in a perfectly executed scenario, I don't have to do anything. I have a partner force, and I have shaped conditions to set back and enjoy the show. Yeah. And it's in our favor.
So the only time I've ever worked with Special Forces was in Iraq and Syria. Mm-hmm. I'd never worked, actually done work. And it was, I was in the J7. So we were basically like the 127 Echo program.
Yeah.
But it's called something different over there. It's different. It's not secret no form, but I don't really want to talk about it necessarily. But basically the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so seeing this stuff going on in the news after the stuff we did is that becomes a little more personal. Mm-hmm. It's like,
yeah, when you see the magic behind the show.
Well, yeah, that. But also what I mean is the things that are happening in the news right now with what's going on with the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham fighters coming from Damascus, pushing east across the Euphrates River and pushing up towards eastern Syria. And all the, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there right now. Just I'll never understand. I don't think I'll ever be able to truly understand how the Afghan vets feel or felt in 2021 after the evacuation. Because I imagine there was a very emotionally charged period of time for Afghan vets. I'll never be able to understand that because I didn't go to Afghan. I wasn't there for the evacuation. I didn't deploy there. But I can kind of just slightly get to a place where it's I can see the beginnings of why people would how somebody would get to feel the way that people felt, because that's the only time I had any type of interaction with, any type of area that could be considered a conflict zone. Mm-hmm. To see how things are kind of it feels like things are collapsing. It's not quite the same. It's different. It's very different. But you kind of get emotionally invested in the success of that partner force.
Without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, I still have friends today that I worked with that were part of the partner force.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
because you want to see them succeed. You put your heart and soul into things, and obviously I didn't work directly as not nearly the same way that the ODAs did, but I was acting in a capacity to help support.
Yeah, you live together. That's the beauty of it. And that's
break bread together.
Yeah,
we were eating breakfast with them every day for a period of time.
You're in this together, and that's very genuine. And quite frankly, if you're not, they'll pick up on that. Would you trust somebody who wouldn't eat with you?
No.
I
don't care. And the food was good. Let's be honest, because it's I don't know if it's not really the Fertile Crescent, but they call it the Rojava, which is this really fertile landscape where Mesopotamia, it used to be part of Mesopotamia. Northeastern Syria is actually a pretty lush area in a lot of spots where they grow pretty damn good crops. They got a lot of livestock. They got sheep. They got, some of the vegetables and produce out there, phenomenal food. And we would eat breakfast with them every day when we were out at this site we were going to and stuff like that. You end up getting some bubble guts in the beginning because it's your bacteria is a little different than their bacteria is, you know what I mean? But good food though, man, real good food. But When did you end up getting out? I know we didn't get to kind of finish that whole story.
11.
2011?
Yeah, 2011.
So it was like kind of you returned from that deployment and then...
Yeah, I real abrupt change of life there. I got out or we got back from Afghanistan April of 2011. Got out in June. I was enrolled at Michigan State in August. So
okay,
within 4 or 5 months there, whatever that is,
yeah.
Went from being in Afghanistan to sitting in
to being in a classroom.
Yeah.
How was that?
It wasn't great, to be honest with you. You know, you go from this hyperkinetic environment where, you know, you're in the fight every single day to existing with 18 and 19-year-olds.
Oh, my
going
God.
through one-on-one classes and stuff like that. I think part of that is just like the drive to move on to the next thing and working, you know, and hindsight, probably better to take a little bit of time off there, you know, and probably extended the total time that I went to school quite a bit because I was like so driven to just keep moving. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be doing. So it took a couple course changes there to figure out what I ultimately ended up doing, and kind of had some more come to Jesus moments there, and ended up in a writing curriculum, which ended up being kind of multimedia communications. This is, you know, kind of fell into this, got in 2013, 2014. Social media was in this new state, kind of evolving in a different way. So began studying that, picked up a camera during that time, started studying that stuff. And the thing that, you know, the kind of spark that ultimately ended up getting me at Black Rifle was this documentary that I put together with a couple other students while I was there. And when I was in country, I was the guy, you know, this was, you know, when I was in country, this was 2010, 11, this was like GoPro 2, 3. You know,
okay.
When GoPros had just come out, and like it was a really interesting sweet spot because it was before the Marine Corps had really started restricting usage of cameras for every single guy, and so we all had them. And you know, what we were capturing wasn't boring by any means, you know, between the A-10s, the explosions, the gunfights, all that stuff. And I couldn't really tell you why, but I just kind of became the guy. I was going around wherever we were going. I was scooping up everybody's hard drives and storing that stuff. And so I had like kind of this archive after I got back. And I had this really great professor who kind of mentored me in a unique way of doing some one-on-one study courses, and was kind of like taken aback by some of the things that I was telling him I'd experienced.
Yeah.
And we had a whole semester to do one project. And so I was like, I've got all this footage, you know, I'm still processing a lot of this stuff. And, you know, I kind of want to do an homage to those guys that didn't make it home. And so we ended up putting this documentary together, and it was, and then I traveled, and this was the first time I reconnected with a lot of the guys that I was overseas with, and did interviews with them, and it became this like before, during, and after Afghanistan documentary. And, you know, the curriculum requisite of, hey, you got to make like a 12-minute film. It turned into this 48-minute documentary that was unique in its presentation of this perspective, you know, before, during, and after these guys, and you see these changes across these different individuals that I was deployed with, and also kind of spoke to what I brought up earlier with the, you know, we were all in the same platoon, but we were split up. You know, we saw each other like one time throughout the deployment, and so you got to like put this pieces together of Sangin and what it was like for these different guys. And that documentary, I kind of just was like, I'll just throw it up. It seemed to be having a powerful effect on people. Threw it up on YouTube, and you know, a little while later, like I woke up one morning, my roommate's like, "Hey, dude, your face is on the front page of USA Today," and I was like, "What?" And
wow.
And then, you know, that kind of like took hold and started getting some awareness, and some people started to take notice of that. And that ultimately got me linked up with, do you remember Funker 530, the Facebook page?
Yeah.
So I was writing for those guys for a little bit.
Okay. I know. I think
kind of like
I know
a precursor
that guy.
to a lot of what you're doing now as far as like the commentary on different things that are going on in conflict zones. I was doing that more in a blog setting.
Okay.
And do that, and then through that, where I ended up meeting the guys, Evan, Matt, and Jared, was in Whitefish, Montana. We were contemplating putting a documentary project together with Chris Peranto on 13 Hours in Benghazi. Went to his book signing in Whitefish, Montana, and that's when I met those guys. And this was like right at the beginning. Like the first video that got made was that weekend that I met all those guys, when Evan's hipster waterboarding video.
Oh, okay.
When he walks in and eats a banana, that was the same time frame that I met all those guys.
Okay.
So I came from this documentary multimedia background, met these guys. We hit it off, typical Marine fashion, got way too drunk, missed my early morning flight, RV'd with them from Montana back down to Salt Lake, and Evan and I hit it off. He's like, why don't you come down and start working with us? And this was 2015.
Oh, wow.
And started taking over the social media around then, and been doing it ever since.
Damn. So you rode in an RV with him down there?
Yeah.
From Montana, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably had a good bit of time to get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're in a damn RV together.
10 hours, super hungover, hanging out. Yeah.
Damn. All because you missed the flight the night before. So it was kind of serendipitous, too.
Yeah, it was, for sure.
Huh. And you've been with them for 11 years now?
11 years. This June.
Wow. And have you rotated around inside the company at all? Or?
Yeah, more of like a vertical growth trajectory. You know, I went from like being the guy running around with the camera and, kind of worked up, doing different management roles within marketing, social media, and have existed in that ecosystem that entire time, yeah.
Okay. And it all started from videos and doing video stuff.
Full circle moment. Story. Coming back to story, the importance of story in the human's life.
How did you? What was the actual major you graduated with then?
Professional writing.
Professional writing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I knew I really enjoyed your emails. Very well written.
Yeah. Do you enjoy writing emails?
No, I do not.
Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to make sure we took a second to talk about some of the initiatives that Black Rifle has for philanthropy, because that's one of the reasons why a lot of people get into this social media thing in the first place. Myself personally, that's one of the reasons I started, was to build a brand and a business big enough where I could donate thousands and thousands of dollars to people if I could one day eventually, and also just be able to help people in general. Obviously not there yet, working on it. Got a long way to go, but Black Rifle started out as an idea inside of someone's head, and now they're, one of the biggest donators, one of the biggest supporters of like philanthropic endeavors that support veterans and service members in general. So, and obviously, you're the director of philanthropic. What's the word for it? Endeavors for Black Rifle?
Efforts, yeah. We like to sum it up in many ways, like Director of Philanthropy or like
Director of Philanthropy.
Like mission-focused efforts.
Yeah, the Director of Philanthropy. And, how do you know how much Black Rifle gives away per year?
Yes.
Annually? Are you allowed to say?
Yes. Yeah. This year we gave away.
I think technically we have to say.
Yeah.
Tax reports.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I didn't even think about it. I don't run around a nonprofit, so I have no idea. But
no, you're good. Yeah, we gave $2.3 million this year in monetary donations, about another $1.7 million in kind donations.
Wow. That's a lot of people that probably impacted, right?
Yeah, I would say, it's definitely scalable based off of the nonprofit, but at any given time, we usually support annually anywhere from about 80 to 100 different nonprofits.
80 to 100. Okay, correct. So Black Rifle will funnel cash to other nonprofits that they know do good stuff that they verified.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, that helps. Rather than having to be the ones that do the vetting, find organizations that you trust, like Hunter 7. Mm-hmm. Good example. We interviewed Chachi and Chelsea yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is really
Yeah, perfect example. And so many. So I mean, it's just
well, then obviously you guys
it kind of comes back down to the force multiplier, discussion we had too, because we allow it in many different ways. So not only is it just one thing to just simply give a check to somebody and say, here's some money. While that's great too, we try to take it a step further, more of a partnership. Can we do cause-based marketing, which raise awareness to that organization that we're supporting, that then helps them kind of raise the issues of what they're trying to do and tackle, which only helps them do more to help more people. So it's complementary in so many ways, even down to the smallest thing of, hey, we can donate you some stuff that you can use for auction items to help you raise more money on top of the money we're giving you. So but we do some things that are completely unilateral, like what we did, when it comes to like disaster relief efforts. However, every single time I try to incorporate as many people as possible. Like Mission Barbecue was a perfect example. Helping support them to help support disaster relief efforts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and just like the fact that you showed up in Western Carolina and we were flying around in helicopters dropping coffee off and freaking Batcave and Chimney Rock, and you remember that picture of that guy when he's like holding the bags up as
I'll never
we're
forget
taking off in a helicopter.
He gave me a lot of shit for not bringing more coffee, so we hooked him up though.
Yeah, but that's like that's a cool memory. Like obviously they had just experienced absolute devastation, and like even if you're just giving them some coffee, like that's going to help people while they're in the middle of cleanup. You can't stay there forever, but we can do some cool stuff like that. And it's like, I think that's personally for me. I think that coffee is going to be more valuable than some of the things I've seen people drop off for some of those things. You know what I mean? So just because like everybody, like all the firefighters, all the EMTs, all the law enforcement guys, they all need coffee, and they've been working long shifts after the hurricanes hit, because I mean there's a lot to deal with. You had looters, you had there's like a lot of places where the cleanup was still going for a very long time. You still had to like keep the health services running. I mean, because it was shut down. It was like anarchy almost for like a couple days. It was like a little weird, and then obviously they brought FEMA in and started getting it locked down a little bit because people were getting a little crazy, getting a little squirrely at the gas station and stuff. People getting held up and shot, weird, crazy stuff, So like some coffee to those guys will go a long way. Like I didn't give, it was from you guys, but I brought a whole box of coffee out to the guys at Hot Springs, or not Hot Springs, Marshall, the town of Marshall.
Yeah.
We didn't go there when we were at the parking lot, but the second time I went up there, I went to Marshall. I had spoke to the police chief the last time before that, I think, or maybe it was the same time. I can't remember. I mixed up the times. It was all kind of blends together now. But either way, we brought a whole case of coffee up to the local police chief, who was just like one dude. They had lost their whole building because it got flooded out, and so they were operating out of this little teeny former law office because that was all they had. There was nobody in there. They didn't have a jail to put people in. They didn't have nothing. It was just one dude, and like he had a couple of
because remember we interrupted their meeting. And then I remember because we interrupted their meeting because we just opened the back door and then they were there and they were just like, can we help you? And I was like, hey, I'm Dean. I'm from Black Rifle Coffee Company. They're like, oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
You remember? And then I was
Did you go up there?
Yeah, I was like, remember? I was like, I brought you guys some coffee. Is that cool? And they're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He said it was so funny. It was great times, man.
Yeah, and it was like that everywhere we went. And everybody's like, dude, yes, like we obviously like coffee's gonna go a long way because we've got a lot of work to do. So that actually was like genuinely helpful for them.
Yeah.
We're like, we're not trying to get in your way. We're not trying to like, film a bunch of stuff for a major media organization. We're just trying to like get you some coffee and bounce. Yeah. I vlogged a little bit while we were running around all these different places just to like kind of make sure that people understood like how bad it was. But we, most of it was like, hey, we're delivering stuff. Like Dude, I brought up a Suburban full of heaters and propane and like generators, and we dropped all of that off too from the helicopter, which is great. Yeah. You know, that helped a lot of people. We did a bunch of fundraising. You guys did a bunch of fundraising. We did a lot of really cool stuff that couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, that's just one good example. I mean, you guys do a ton of other good stuff too. You know, you've donated a ton of money personally to Hunter 7. You've funneled a lot of money to them so they could screen people for cancer, which they've been doing here at SHOT Show. On the floor. We
were talking to Chelsea earlier today too, and Chachi over there at Hunter 7. He was with us for a little while, and you know, she was telling me like her biggest barrier of entry is people just don't know that they need blood testing and the cancer screening. Yes. Yeah. But also, you know, there's a ton of guys who just don't understand how they can optimize their own personal life and health through getting a blood test. And Hunter 7 does such a good job of human optimization and allowing you to like, hey, no, based on these results, here's what you need. You've got deficiencies here, potential toxins. Here's how you should treat this self. It's much more than just like, hey, you might have cancer. You know, the total really human package. They're really doing a good job to facilitate that. And then I went and did their like full body MRI scans. So like anybody can go and just like, hey, I just want to make sure there's nothing going on, TBI, the whole nine. Yeah. How many guys are out there that were around a shitload of explosions, whether that be in training or in combat, and they will do everything in their power to get you to a place where you can do a full body scan. I highly recommend that for anybody listening who experienced any type of combat or was around a bunch of explosions. You have no idea how much potential deficit you have from TBI just being in the proximity of explosions, and they'll get you squared away. And if you don't have anything, great. That's a huge peace of mind to have in your back pocket, so you can just move forward with your life. Yeah,
they're crushing it, man. And she does a really good job of like helping narrow down, like, okay, if you're testing like this, she analyzes what the data looks like to try to see if there's like, okay, if it comes back abnormal, well, why is it abnormal? Where did this guy deploy to? What did he do while he was there? Yeah. What was his diet like? What's his diet like now? What's his living conditions like now? What was his living conditions like previously? And like doing a really holistic approach to it rather than just like, we're just going to do a biopsy and scan you to see if you got any cancer. It's like it's more of a well-rounded approach, like a full well-rounded approach. And she's been crushing it. And it was cool like hearing her story yesterday, 'cause we did a podcast yesterday too. And I mean, she's posted about the foundations of Hunter 7, like who it was named after and the inspiration behind it and stuff like that. But it was good hearing the story direct from her in person. And I think it's going to be cool for a lot of other people to understand a little bit more about like what they do as an organization, because they're going to continue to get bigger and people are going to continue to hear about them because they do good work, and they're letting their reputation precede them by the work that they're doing. You know, they're not just like blowing smoke. They're not taking island vacations with the money that they're getting donated. They're like spending that on people, like most of it. Like almost all of it, you know. So it's pretty cool what they've done, and that's just another example. I mean, Black Rifle you guys partnered with Born Primitive this past year and like paid off $43 million in medical, $44 million,
34, yeah,
34, yeah, $34 million in veteran medical debt.
Yeah, was it 18,000?
Yeah, I think the number. Yeah, just over 18,000 veterans were notified before Christmas that they were
debt free.
Their medical debt was eliminated.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that's pretty bananas.
I just saw Bear today too, so you know we have some discussions to have. But
did you?
But we're going to try obviously just going to try to take this to the next level and work towards it. So you can fully expect it again this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope I run into him tomorrow. I took the whole morning off. I was going to do another podcast tomorrow. I was like, I got to take a day to like talk to people.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had a chance to do that.
Yeah, you do. You've been in here all day.
I've been here all week. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Because it's one of those things. It's always hard for me to chat about it because what I don't ever want to do is come across that like we're boasting about what we do. But at the same time, I'm always conflicted because I love to talk about what we do because there's great organizations out there that are doing something epic. And like even like this podcast is a perfect example. If I bring up one organization like the Boot Campaign, somebody may not know what that is and then they'll Google it. So go Google it right now so you can learn for yourself. But that's just another example of amazing organization that we help support that is helping so many veterans right now as we speak. So we're doing something with Boot Campaign in a couple weeks with Travis Pastrana and Cletus out at the Daytona 500 to raise some money. So we get to do a lot of fun things too, like we got Star Spangled Babies coming up with Operation Homefront, which is going to be really cool. It's 50 expecting mothers, that are married to a military member. So we're going to get them kitted up with care packages and everything, take care of them having a newborn. Moving from there, let me see, man, then Memorial Day becomes a real heavy one, so moving into, right after the spring is huge. We plan on doing, the celebrity softball game again this year, which last year collectively.
Celebrity softball?
Yeah, we did it with Folds of Honor, Tennessee last year, and collectively between all of us, everybody included, we raised $670,000 that went to scholarships to children who lost their mother or father in the line of duty. So, so just to show the power and impact of a really great event, but just coming together to raise some money to, help support, SOWF, Special Operations Warrior Foundation, another great nonprofit we're going to work with. We just did something just last month here in Vegas, with NFR and Rockard, which we ended up donating, $350,000 to that amazing organization. And I just want to make it perfectly clear. I don't say any of these things to kind of boast about, hey, look at Black Rifle, but what is important is I spend a lot of time vetting these organizations because not all nonprofits like people are created equal. So, you got to do your due diligence and be a good business leader. But I can say, like the ones that we work with, I speak to all the time. I get to know these people really well, and I love and support what they do. And so if I ever have the opportunity to kind of tell them how we're involved with them, I try to take advantage of it, And I can go on, Simplify America's Fun, amazing organization that we worked with and supported. So, but we got some really, really cool things planned out for 2026. Hope we can get them all across the board.
Well, it's also going to be the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
Correct. Yeah, and another big one is I don't know if people track it as closely, but this year is the 25th anniversary of 9/11.
The 25th?
Correct.
Oh, my God.
So I really wanted to do something this year to kind of really honor the Gold Star families because obviously a lot of them lost their husband or wife during the GWOT War.
Yeah.
So I'm still working through the details, but I really want to do something this year. Not that we don't celebrate our Gold Star families every year, but being the 25th anniversary, I just want to make sure it's done really right.
Yeah.
And so looking to do something really epic this year with that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on this year for a lot of different reasons. It's going to be interesting for sure. But either way, I mean, Black Rifle, it was founded by, a bunch of guys that served while they were still serving, And I know that one of the things that's important to them is giving back and helping the veteran community in whatever way they can, because that's like one of the pieces of having a business that's fulfilling. It's one of the parts of what makes you feel fulfilled is doing something to help other people. That's one of the main reasons I started doing the things that I do is to build a big enough voice and a big enough platform that if I need to, if there's something that happens that people need to know about and I have the ability to tell people without asking anyone else for help, then I can do that. Mm-hmm. That was one of the big reasons I started.
Yeah, and you've already helped in the past too. I've seen you do it a couple times.
Yeah, and that's not, again, same thing for you. It's not to boast, because it's not about boasting. It's about
well, that and at the same time, man, haters are gonna hate. So I mean, by all means, hate on me, dude, because I love that shit. Who was that guy that said that? I can't remember, but
yeah. But anyway, bottom line is this: it could be considered a selfish thing because I was talking to Chelsea about this too, because she's like, I keep doing this because it makes me feel good helping other people. And if I didn't have this, I probably would be in a dark place. She put it in a little bit more extreme words, as you might imagine, but like this is like, that's what like heals her.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. Like being able to do something to help people is a therapeutic, has a healing effect on me. And it's not about like the recognition even of it. It's just like, I want to, number one, I want to be able to help people. Number two, I want to inspire other people to go out and do the same things, try to do something for somebody else that, without expecting anything in return from it, because like that, nobody, the veteran and active duty community, nobody hates on each other more than we do. Nobody supports us more than we do, and so like, it's like kind of be a part of the problem or part of the solution kind of thing, and overall, I think most of us are doing good things to help each other and support each other. I would say the majority. I think that's a great way to set the example for others to emulate, because even if you're not in the military and you're doing something else, like do something to help people. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just like trying to help Americans, even like that's cool too. Like if you live in America, but you just want to like learn how to help other Americans out, there's lots of good ways to do that. But it just happens to be the Black Rifles founded by vets, and so that's like kind of who it's a little bit more geared towards. But obviously, the Gold Star families aren't always vets. Maybe sometimes the kids end up joining and stuff like that occasionally because their parents served in the past, but, you guys do a lot of stuff to help the families too, to support them.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention first responders too,
police and law enforcement and all that,
Yeah. So we got a few things in the works too this year for them as well. So
good.
Yeah.
They need some support this year, especially because like there's a lot of contentious stuff going on with law enforcement and federal law enforcement, and they're doing hard work trying to enforce laws, which is what makes civilized society a possibility, and they need support too.
Completely agree.
So, but anyway, man, you guys are crushing it, and I'm looking forward to being able to do more stuff with you guys in the future, and appreciate you guys taking some time to share a little bit about your story. Logan, appreciate you. It was good to finally meet you in person, of course, and Dean, thank you for sharing a little bit about your story as well. We'll definitely do more stuff like this. I'd like to do more podcasting with different guys from the organization, because there's you guys have a lot of really good people with a lot of good stories that I think are valuable, that people would love to hear, so we can set some more of these up in the future down the road, different locations, different times, places, and things like that. And obviously, we'll do a lot more. I want to try to be involved as I can throughout this next year, especially with everything going on, and we'll keep finding ways to find some sort of synchronicity, which I'm sure won't be hard, because we're all pretty much like pretty similar mindsets, pretty similar feelings and outlook upon life. Similar, maybe different perspectives because we've had different experiences, but a lot of us feel very strongly about similar things. So anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time to be here again, peeling away from your busy schedules, and we'll see you out here on the SHOT Show floor probably tomorrow morning, I guess. Probably bang another energy drink as soon as I get down there.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow.